Welcome to my channel, Most Worth Coins WC, where history lives in your hands. If you're passionate about rare coins, vintage currency, and the fascinating stories behind them, you're in the right place. Don't forget to watch the full video, share it with your fellow collectors, like and subscribe to stay updated with more valuable content every week. So let's get started. The 1979 D Washington Quarter is a fascinating coin that carries with it both the artistic legacy of the Washington Quarter series and the economic realities of late 20th century American coinage. Struck at the Denver Mint, as indicated by the D mint mark located on the obverse just to the right of George Washington's ponytail ribbon, the 1979 D is a copper nickel-clad coin and part of the modern circulating quarter series that had been in production since 1965. Its specifications are consistent with the clad coinage era. The coin has a weight of 5.67 grams, a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, a thickness of 1.75 millimeters, and a reeded edge with 119 reeds. The clad composition features outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core, a design that gave it durability for circulation while eliminating the costly use of silver. This marked a significant shift from pre-1965 quarters, which contained 90% silver, and placed the 1979 D firmly within the era of base metal quarters that defined U.S. commerce after the mid-1960s. The obverse design, created by sculptor John Flanagan, features a portrait of George Washington, the first president of the United States. Flanagan's left-facing bust of Washington had been introduced in 1932, originally as a commemorative coin marking the bicentennial of Washington's birth. However, its popularity led it to become the permanent design for the quarter. On the 1979 D coin, Washington is depicted with classical simplicity, with fine details in the hair and facial features, though many circulation strikes show slight softness in strike due to the high-volume minting process. Above Washington's head appears the word liberty, an enduring theme in U.S. coinage and an affirmation of one of the country's founding ideals. To the left of Washington's bust is the inscription, "In God We Trust," the national motto that has appeared on most American coinage since the Civil War era. Beneath the bust lies the date 1979, situating the coin within the historical context of its time. The D mint mark, located just beside the ribbon tying Washington's hair, designates its production at the Denver Mint, one of the primary facilities of the U.S. mint system. The reverse design of the 1979 D quarter features a powerful heraldic eagle, another creation by Flanagan. The eagle is portrayed with wings outstretched, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, a symbol of readiness and strength in defense of the nation. Below the eagle rests an olive branch, representing peace, diplomacy, and the desire to avoid conflict whenever possible. This imagery embodies the dual nature of American foreign and domestic policy ideals, a balance of strength and peace. Above the eagle appears the inscription United States of America, the name of the issuing nation, while directly beneath this inscription is a Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one. This motto reflects the unity of the states into one federal union. At the bottom of the reverse appears a denomination, clearly written as $quarter. The balance of these inscriptions with the imagery of the eagle give the coin a symmetrical and dignified appearance, cementing it as an enduring symbol of American coinage. The historical context of 1979 provides further significance to this coin. By the late 1970s, the United States was grappling with economic challenges such as inflation, high energy costs, and shifting political landscapes both domestically and globally. During this period, the Washington Quarter remained a workhorse of daily commerce, circulating widely across the nation. While the silver content had been removed over a decade earlier, the quarter remained a cornerstone of American pocket change. Millions of Americans carried the 1979 D quarter daily, often without considering the symbolic history and artistry embedded in its design. For many, it was a simple medium of exchange, but for numismatists and historians, it represents continuity and resilience in American monetary history. The Denver Mint, where the 1979 D quarter was struck, played an important role in supplying coins for circulation, particularly to western and central regions of the country. In 1979, tens of millions of these quarters were struck, making the 1979 D a common issue with a very high mintage. As such, It is not rare in circulated grades, and worn examples are readily available even today in circulation or in bulk coinage lots. However, the sheer volume of production also meant that many coins left the mint with contact marks, nicks, or strike weaknesses. For this reason, high-grade, well-preserved examples are much scarcer and command collector interest. From a numismatic perspective, the 1979 D Washington quarter is considered a common issue, but its value and appeal depend heavily on condition. Circulated examples generally hold only face value, as their abundance prevents significant premiums. However, mint state MS coins, especially those graded MS65 or higher, become more appealing to collectors. Such coins exhibit sharp detail, vibrant luster, and minimal marks from handling. MS66 and above examples are particularly difficult to obtain due to the high mintage and typical wear and tear associated with mass-produced circulation strikes. In certified holders from PCGS or NGC, superb gem examples may sell for multiples of face value, sometimes commanding notable premiums among dedicated series collectors. Additionally, error coins, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or clip planche from the 1979 D issue, are known to exist and can be of significant value depending on rarity and visibility of the error. Symbolically, the 1979 D quarter represents both continuity and transition. On one hand, it is a continuation of the Washington quarter design that had been in place since 1932, serving as a constant in American daily life. On the other hand, it is part of the late-clad era that would soon lead into the state quarters program of 1999, which completely revitalized public interest in U.S. coinage. The 1979 D, therefore, stands as part of the bridge between the traditional Washington Eagle reverse and the dramatic redesign that would capture the attention of millions at the end of the century. The design philosophy of the 1979 D coin is also noteworthy. Washington's portrait exudes strength and simplicity, a fitting tribute to the nation's founding father, while the eagle on the reverse projects both authority and grace. Together, these images make the coin both an artistic and symbolic piece of American heritage. For collectors, historians, and everyday Americans, the 1979 D quarter is more than just currency. It is a small, durable artifact that reflects the nation's values, economy, and artistic traditions of its era. The 1991 D Washington quarter is a small yet significant coin in the long-running Washington quarter series, embodying both American history and artistry while also reflecting the state of U.S. coinage in the late 20th century. Struck at the Denver Mint, this quarter is identified by the D mint mark, which appears on the obverse to the right of George Washington's ponytail ribbon, just above the date. Like all Washington quarters minted after 1965, the 1991 D was struck in a copper-nickel-clad composition, outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a pure copper core. This gave the coin its silvery hue, durability for daily commerce, and affordability compared to earlier 90% silver quarters issued from 1932 through 1964. The 1991 D weighs 5.67 grams, measures 24.3 millimeters in diameter, and has a reeded edge, a design feature originally introduced on precious metal coinage to discourage clipping and shaving. These physical specifications placed the 1991 D within the modern-clad coinage era, which defined U.S. circulating coinage beginning in the mid-1960s. The obverse design, by sculptor John Flanagan, has remained iconic since its introduction in 1932. It features a left-facing bust of George Washington, chosen to commemorate the bicentennial of his birth. Flanagan's portrait captures Washington in a neoclassical style, serious yet dignified, representing the ideals of leadership and statesmanship. Across the top of the coin appears the word liberty, signifying the central value on which the nation was founded. To the left of Washington's profile is the inscription, "In God We Trust," the national motto officially adopted during the mid-20th century but appearing on U.S. coins since the Civil War era. At the bottom of the obverse is a year of mintage, 1991, anchoring the coin in its historical context, and as mentioned, the D mint mark identifies it as struck at the Denver facility, one of the most prolific U.S. mints. Turning to the reverse, the 1991 D quarter features John Flanagan's adaptation of a heraldic eagle. This eagle, standing proudly with outstretched wings, clutches a bundle of arrows in its talons, representing readiness and strength in defense of the nation. Beneath the eagle is an olive branch, a timeless symbol of peace, balance, and diplomacy. Together, these elements encapsulate the duality of American principles, a commitment to peace, backed by the strength to defend liberty and sovereignty when necessary. Above the eagle arcs the inscription United States of America, and just below that is a traditional Latin motto, E pluribus unum, out of many, one, symbolizing the unity of the many states forming one republic. The denomination, quarter dollar, appears at the bottom, clearly identifying the coin's value. This classic reverse design had been in use since 1932 and would remain until 1998, before being replaced by the 50-state quarters program in 1999. Historically, the 1991 D Washington quarter comes from a period of vast production in American coinage. The Denver Mint struck hundreds of millions of these coins, ensuring their wide circulation across the United States. As such, the 1991 D is a common issue in the Washington Quarter series, and circulated examples still regularly appear in pocket change today. However, its significance lies not in rarity but in its place as part of the final decade of the classic eagle reverse design, prior to the massive transformation brought by the state quarters program. For collectors, this makes the 1991 D both a typical modern circulation coin and a historical marker of an era soon to pass. From a numismatic perspective, the 1991 D quarter holds more interest in uncirculated grades than in circulated condition. Circulated examples, which often exhibit wear on Washington's hair, flattening of the eagle's feathers, and dulling of luster, usually carry no premium beyond face value. However, in higher mint state grades, particularly MS65, MS66, and above, these coins become much more desirable. Coins with sharp strikes, full luster, and minimal contact marks are significantly scarcer, as most quarters struck in 1991 were intended for mass circulation rather than numismatic preservation. Third-party grading services like PCGS or NGC may certify such coins, and high-grade examples can attract premiums in the collector marketplace. Beyond condition, era varieties of the 1991 D, such as double-die obverses or reverses, off-center strikes, or clip planches, also exist and can carry substantial value depending on rarity and eye appeal. The design symbolism of the 1991 D Washington Quarter is worth reflecting on. By 1991, the Washington Quarter had already been in circulation for nearly 6 decades. Originally intended as a one-year commemorative issue in 1932, it became a permanent part of the nation's coinage due to its popularity and the national admiration for Washington's enduring legacy. The obverse portrait projects strength and honor, while the eagle reverse continues a long American coinage tradition of featuring eagles as central national emblems. Together, these designs carry forward the ideals of liberty, unity, and resilience that have defined U.S. history. The broader historical backdrop of 1991 adds further dimension. The United States, at the time, was undergoing major political and social transformations. The Gulf War had just concluded, and the Cold War was reaching its final days, culminating in the collapse of the Soviet Union later that year. Against this backdrop, the Washington Quarter remained an everyday constant in American commerce, a silent participant in the daily lives of millions of citizens. For many, pocket change such as the 1991 D Quarter was not only currency, but also a tangible symbol of national continuity. For collectors and historians alike, the 1991 D Washington Quarter is more than just a common coin. It represents the closing chapters of an iconic design, a reflection of America's enduring values, and an artifact of transitional era in both world history and American coinage. Though not rare, its numismatic value lies in its preservation, symbolism, and role as part of the Washington Quarter's long narrative arc. High-grade examples stand as small treasures of modern minting, while circulated pieces serve as everyday reminders of a proud tradition stretching back to 1932. The 1989 D Washington Quarter is a small but fascinating piece of American numismatic history, struck during the late 20th century at the Denver Mint. This coin carries on the long-standing Washington Quarter design that had been in circulation since 1932, when it was first issued to commemorate the bicentennial of George Washington's birth. The 1989 D issue is made of a copper-nickel-clad composition, consisting of outer layers of 75% copper and 25% nickel bonded to a core pure copper. This gives the coin its distinctive silvery color while keeping costs low compared to the earlier 90% silver quarters issued from 1932 to 1964. The coin weighs 5.67 grams, has a diameter of 24.3 millimeters, and a reeded edge, which was originally intended to discourage the shaving or clipping of precious metal from the edges of coins. The D mint mark, positioned just to the right of Washington's ponytail on the obvos, identifies a coin as having been struck at the Denver Mint. In 1989, millions of these coins were produced, making them readily available in circulation, though well-preserved specimens can be of special interest to collectors today. On the obvos, the design features a left-facing bust of George Washington, sculpted by John Flanagan. This portrait of the nation's first president has been a cornerstone of American coinage since the early 1930s, and though it has undergone slight modifications over the decades, the 1989 D issue retains the classic styling. Above Washington's head is the inscription Liberty, while to the left is a national motto, In God We Trust. Below the bust appears the year of issue, 1989, and as mentioned, the D mint mark is located near Washington's hair ribbon. The design is simple, stately, and highly recognizable, embodying both the dignity of Washington himself and the democratic ideals of the United States. The reverse of the coin features a heraldic eagle with outstretched wings, clutching a bundle of arrows in its talons, symbolic of America's preparedness to defend itself, and an olive branch below, representing peace. This design is a powerful reflection of the nation's dual commitment to strength and diplomacy. Arcing above the eagle are the words United States of America, while directly below that is a Latin motto, E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, which underscores the unification of the states into a single republic. At the bottom of the reverse appears a denomination, written as $quarter. The symmetry and balance of this design reflect both neoclassical artistry and the national ideals it symbolizes. By 1989, the Washington quarter had already been in use for nearly 6 decades, and although millions were produced annually, each coin carried with it a piece of American cultural identity. The Denver Mint, responsible for striking this particular issue, had a long history of producing coins for circulation across the western United States, and its D mint mark is instantly familiar to collectors. While the 1989 D quarter was not struck in silver and thus does not command the intrinsic bullion value of earlier issues, it holds historical importance as part of the continuous lineage of Washington quarters leading up to the 1999 introduction of the 50 state quarters program. In terms of collectability, the 1989 D Washington quarter is considered a common circulation strike, as its mintage numbered in the hundreds of millions. This means that circulated examples are still readily available and typically only worth face value. However, condition plays a major role in numismatics. Coins that were well preserved, stored carefully, or struck with exceptional quality are of much greater interest. High-grade mint state MS examples, especially those graded MS66 or higher, are far scarcer than circulated pieces and can fetch significantly higher values on the collector's market. Coins with strong luster, minimal contact marks, and sharp details are particularly prized. Additionally, rare minting errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, or clipped planches from 1989 D quarters are sometimes encountered and can command premiums depending on rarity and eye appeal. The coin's design and symbolism also connected to broader themes in U.S. history. Washington's portrait, chosen in the early 20th century, was originally intended to be a one-year commemorative in 1932 but proved so popular that it became the permanent design. Similarly, the eagle reversed by Flanagan carried forward an older American coinage tradition of featuring eagles as representations of freedom, power, and resilience. By the late 1980s, the Washington quarter had become an ingrained part of American daily life, serving not just as currency but also as a small canvas for national ideals. For collectors, the 1989 D Washington quarter offers a window into a transitional period of U.S. coinage history. The late 1980s were the final years before the monumental changes introduced with the 50 state quarters beginning in 1999, which would entirely reshape public interest in the series. As such, the 1989 D can be seen as one of the last classic-clad Washington quarters struck in the traditional eagle reverse design. It represents both continuity with the past and the closing chapter of a long-standing era in American numismatics.